Okay. I just completed a flow with someone who I've been exploring with for quite some time, and she was sharing with me that she's noticing that quite often now she's able to be interacting with other humans more from true nature and not so likely to get pulled in and captured by her wanter. And she was reflecting with me that it's so much easier when we're in our true essence than when we're in our wanter. Right. Yeah. And she said that she's noticing that in a lot of situations, she's able to just very naturally be with them from understanding and kindness and patience, and not needing them to be different than they are, and how much easier this is. She said to me, in the really tricky moments, how do you navigate those? And I said, well, I have found over the years that I, moment to moment, bring all of my attention into the heart center within my body, and I say, please let me be love. I align with love. I let my choice be love. Because what I've learned over the years is when we let the choice be love, we're free. And whatever arrives there from within my heart center, I then do the best I can to let that be how I interact with the person in that moment. And she said, wow. So you align with love. I said, that is the lovely possibility. She said, what about the really tricky situations? So what instantly came into my awareness was the experience that I had with the retired airline captain. As you may recall, there is a sharing where I tell that whole event. You can refer back to that if you like. It's an example of a really tricky situation because when he arrived, he didn't want to be there. He was in his wanter, and first thing he did was try to crush my hand with a very firm handshake. Well, in that moment, I'm dropping into the heart center. Please let me be love. And in that moment, what happened is my arm muscles flexed and I squeezed his hand very firmly back, and he released. That's what love looked like in that moment. If we were to give words to it, it would be something like this. From the heart essence that I aligned with, then communicating to him, if it had words, come on now, I love you too much to let you hurt me. We can do better than that together. Some sort of words like that would be the energy of that move of the love that I am. Not letting him hurt me was love. Expressing to him that we can do better than this was what love looked like in that moment. He released, and we went from there. There were many tricky moments with him. And so she said to me, wow, there's just no way I could do that with somebody trying to hurt me. And I then shared with her, well, the only way that was able to happen for me is all the years of practices. Name that thought practice, problem solver mind practice, first growl practice, living practice, loving blessing practice, and chanting. And I shared with her that eventually what happens is we become more stabilized in our true essence, which is patient, is kind, is loving, is very agile, capable of navigating tricky situations like that with the retired airline captain when he was trying to crush my hand. And I shared with her that the loving blessing practice is so essential to this, because the more you're in the loving blessing practice, the more you will directly experience this love that you are, that so naturally shares itself. The love we are loves. And she then shared with me that she's noticing that for her, she's having a hard time sharing love with some of the people that are in her life, but how easy it is for her to share the love when she does her loving blessing practice with her dog. And I shared with her that I've noticed this over the years. For many of us, the easiest being there is to get in touch with the absolute love that we are is a pet. Very often it's a dog. They seem to be the easiest ones for the vast majority of people that I've explored with over the years. It tends to be a dog that they start the loving blessing practice with. Well, if we take a look at this dynamic, what is it about dogs that allows us to feel this love? So many of us can feel such unconditional love toward dogs. Well, look how unconditionally loving they are. They wag their tails and they are so happy to see us, and they snuggle all in on us, and it's as if we're the most important person that ever existed, and that feels so good to us to be loved so unconditionally by them. Now, what's also really fascinating to notice is they still sometimes do dog things, like chew up the furniture or make a mess on the floor or, all kinds of things that they do that we would rather they didn't do, but we let them off the hook. Why is this? If we take a look at it, well, we're aware they can only operate within the construct of being a dog. We're not expecting them to do more than what dogs are capable of doing. So when they do those kind of things that we would rather they didn't do, we let them off the hook. Is it possible that we could let the wanter off the hook in the same way? If we consider it for a moment, when someone is in their wanter, they're going to do wanter things in the same way that a dog is going to do dog things. The doggy friends are so easy to love, and we let them off the hook because we know they can only do doggy things. In the same way, the wanter can only do wanter things. So whenever someone else or us are in our wanter, we're going to do wanter things. Now, the dynamic that plays out is we tend to be upset at them when they do wanter things. Unlike with the dogs. With the dogs, we understand they are going to sometimes do doggy things that we would rather they didn't do. So now, if we take a look at this dynamic, whenever anyone is captured in their wanter and they're doing wantery things, there's a chance that we could understand and have compassion and let them off the hook. It doesn't mean we're going to condone the very intense things that a wanter will do. Our wanters can be really mean, hurtful, unkind, manipulative, controlling. Our wanter will betray and lie and hurt and harm and steal. Yeah, all those things. So we're not saying that those behaviors are aligned with true nature, because they're not. Inherently, wanter behaviors are not aligned with our true nature. They're always going to be selfish, caring only about our own self, not caring at all how it will affect others. So we can be very clear that we're not saying that those behaviors are lovely. They're not. And yet, when someone's in their wanter, they will do wanter things. If we understand this, we can have a different relationship with all of the people that we interact with. And the more we're in the practices, for example, the loving blessing practice, we become ever more stabilized in the love that we are. The love we are becomes ever more liberated and ever more liberated, and we become ever more stabilized in the love we are. So then there's a chance that when we're with someone in a very tricky moment, such as the retired airline captain moments, we can be so aligned with love, and moment to moment keep aligning with love. Please let me be love. Turn into the heart. Please let me be love. In a tricky moment, please let me be love. And if we're really stabilized in the love that we are, we then aren't upset at them for doing what they're doing, because we're aware that they're just in their wanter. That's all it is. And we can have compassion and understanding, because when someone's trapped in their wanter like that, they're so disconnected from their heart, it's really beneficial to them if we can be available to them without needing them to be other than they are. If we can just be with them right as they are and be the love that we are, what tends to happen, like what happened with the retired airline captain, is they tend to relax into their true nature, the love that they are. This is what happened that day, the first time I ever sat with the retired airline captain. He ended up, throughout our time together, relaxing into his heart. Now, I didn't have that as an agenda. It just is a lovely possibility. Same thing happened when I had that walk with the Mormons in the sharing called Liberating This Love We Are. I share that experience. And in that sharing, I speak of how it was the loving blessing practice that allowed me to have that experience all those years later on that walk in my neighborhood when the two Mormons were walking toward me. And the love that we are is liberated through our practices. We then no longer need the person we're interacting with to be different than they are. They're let off the hook, like we do with the doggy friends. And it doesn't mean we're unwise or put ourselves in danger. We can be very agile and capable of navigating the moments to not put ourselves at danger, but also we can be with them very naturally, without any agenda, just by abiding in the love that we are. And in that experience, on that day, in my walk with the Mormons, we all shared a really beautiful reunion in the heart. This love that we are can be liberated. We can then interact with others from this truth that we are. So this is why when she asked me how to navigate the tricky moments, I shared with her that it's moment to moment, resting back into the heart center and saying to myself, please let me be love. Please let me be love. When we let the choice be love, we're free. And then it's easier to enjoy the ride. Hmm.